If Dragon Ball Legends releases a unit that you like, you better hope for two things. One, that unit actually has a good kit, and two, there isn't any surrounding units that will cause your unit harm. There are a lot of units that go through some treacherous times, and that's simply because the circumstances don't allow them to shine. It might be because of their team, it might be because of a unit that counters them, or it might just be they're not good enough. So let's dive into some Dragon Ball Legends history and look at some examples that we've got in this game's existence. Question for the video: if you could have any mechanic on a unit, which one would you pick and why? We gotta have these little intermissions now. Expect them going forward in future videos. We have to start with the boy Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Toshi releasing this guy, I remember so vividly. Toshi said this unit's ultimate art could take out anybody, but the timing of his release was just so horrible that he was pushed into a bad scenario, not just based on the meta, but also his kit just wasn't enough. It was like he was undertuned, and we've seen a lot of undertuned units, but it's not just that. Imagine releasing a yellow where everybody's hyping you up, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, it's looking phenomenal, but his kit is just bad and the stats he has just aren't enough. Then right after that, we get Legends Limited Corrupted Zamasu. Really? Now this unit here, you guys have fought him, especially recently with his Zenkai, and he has a plat as well. He's able to use explosive greens very rigorously, and that allows him to get easy combo starters. Very powerful red. That blue card's gonna nuke you. The strike damage is very high, and in general, he hates Saiyans. So what are you gonna expect? If you use this guy, it was only because you had him high stars or you were just a fan of him. He's still very fun, and to this day, one of my most favorite units in the game, but on release, he was not it, man. He was not it. That whole reveals and stuff when they explained his kit, straight misinformation the way they hyped him up. We've got Super Saiyan God Goku. This also isn't his fault. There were so many factors surrounding this guy that just made it impossible to use him at a good standard. Let's just start with the fact that he's green. Being a green and dropping at the same time as Ultimate Gohan, the start of the menacing Majin Buu saga era, is absolutely nasty work. Ultimate Gohan having everything, and God Goku, even though he had a few nice things, literally got the short hand of the stick. It's like they gave Ultimate Gohan a whole bag of candy or sweets, and they just gave God Goku whatever was left after Ultimate Gohan was done eating. This was poor. The damage wasn't there, the kit lacked so much infrastructure, and his element choice made it so that he was literally a victim off rip. And not just that, we can already say Ultimate Gohan destroyed him. We had Fusing Super Vegeta Rising rushing him. Gogeta Blue, he's doing more damage as well. But right after that, we also get Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. This is absolutely nasty work from the developers. People are saying buff God Goku, literally trending on Twitter with that hashtag. That's how bad it was. Gogeta, you guys know what it was like. If you didn't have him, you might as well delete the game. The oppressive nature he was, being type advantage against the only green in this celebration, the 6th anniversary, it's just truly unfair. God Goku now, since he's got his plat, he's obviously got that major upgrade, but the fact that he had to get a plat within the first 6 months speaks for itself. He was clearly undertuned, clearly underworked, and they should never do that for a unit again, but I guess they're gonna make some mistakes down the line eventually. Just poor God Goku, especially for how much people wanted him to arrive for the anniversary. At first it was he's gonna be a headliner, then he released in part 2 just to be crap, and on top of that get countered heavily. Dark. At the time I'm making this video, this guy hasn't gotten a Zenkai or a platinum equipment, but I hope he does. Goku Youth from Dragon Ball OG. This guy's kit is actually good. He has endurance, he can do good damage, and last stand, he's very solid. Even using him a whole 2 years later, he's actually nice. But for him, the problems exist because of the saga he's from, the tags he represents. Maybe he could fit somewhere else like a Son family team or Saiyans, but really and truly, nobody's summoning for this guy because his banner will have things that you don't want. Him being an OG Dragon Ball unit is literally holding him back. And when they dropped him at a time where there was no other OG Dragon Ball units. Imagine dropping and your team just deserted. It's literally an open space. You know, like when Will Smith was in that room and nobody was there? Bro, why would they do this to him? Dragon Ball Saga in itself is very lackluster, and hopefully by the time you see this video, maybe Dragon Ball Saga will actually be good. But damn, dropping this guy with nothing else to support him pretty pretty much forces him to phase out really fast. He was actually decent. He's not no meta destroyer, a carrier of a team, but he's a solid piece. And if he had other pieces next to him, even just 2, it would have been enough to make him more valued, but simply because he had nothing else to support him, he just faded out, man. Dragon Ball OG also isn't that popular, so you can imagine that a lot of people didn't summon anyways, but man, this guy had potential, and if he does get platinum equipment or a Zenkai around a good team, the infrastructure is there for him, he will shine. But for him, it's really unfair that he had to go through that. Shout out Goku Youth. I used them recently with the 2 Daima kids, Super Saiyan Goku and the green free-to-play Goku Mini, and it was a very good team, more so for fun, but you know, getting past Daima in 2025, that's not easy to do regardless. Super Vegeta, the biggest here, man. Damn, just take it. Unit release ever. This guy here dropping in the Cell Saga was really just the Legends Limited they had to force out so they could release Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. The true intention was just to drop Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Dropping Super Vegeta like this, not building up Cell Saga, but then having Ultra Gohan taking over in the game, it's absolutely nasty work. Super Vegeta being red did nothing. You'd think his element would be a liability, but it really wasn't. He's just bad. You could say maybe Bomku gave him the 1-up, but even that guy phased out. So he had a pretty nice scenario element wise, but it didn't help him either because he just sucks in general. This is just another case of a unit being very undertuned. You could argue that he didn't have anything to stand on, but I would argue against that because in the near future, we did get Nappa and Vegeta, and we also got the Synchro units in the 6th anniversary. So if you invested in Super Vegeta because you're a Vegeta clan fan, you would have been able to use him down the line, but even then at high stars, this guy's an absolute liability. It's just poor damage, poor build up, everything about him just takes too much to work up, and it's not worth it to use him because he's not even a good piece. You have to main him as your main force on the team, and when you're doing that, you'd want that unit to be especially oppressive, but when they're lackluster like Super Vegeta, damn, that's such a shame. I won't lie, I do kind of like his legendary finish, but I'd say that's about it for him. He did get some upgraded equipments, and the equipments aren't great themselves. It's enough to make him decent, especially if you invested in him. But if you didn't invest in him, let's say you did have him but you had him low stars, just put the fries in the bag. You know, some units they're good at 3 stars, some units they're good at 5 stars, some units you have to get them to 14 stars. And Vegeta, I think he's one of those where you get him to 14 stars and you're still going to be asking for a buff, and that's tough. The last one we've got for the video is Bardock. This guy might be one of the only units in Dragon Ball Legends history to go 0 for 3. How can you have a release that's poor, a Zenkai that's poor, and a platinum equipment that's poor? You just suck. I think the biggest problem with this guy is that they just didn't make him a Super Saiyan. If they dropped the Super Saiyan Bardock, the kit design would be much better. I think they just treat Super Saiyans a tiny bit better than characters in their base form, but you guys don't have to quote me on that. It just went all wrong for this guy, and I don't understand why. Obviously, if we look at his kit, I could point out some things that were just horrible about him. For example, the damage numbers in his kit were just way too low when he released. He needed to do more. How are you an offensive type unit, range type, and you're not doing damage? That's poor. And he also has no way of majorly gaining those buffs to do damage. So overall, relying on this guy for damage, you're not going to be cooking. In terms of breaking combos, he's not doing a good job. In terms of tanking hits, he's not doing a good job. And I guess you could say he could somewhat hinder the enemy, but beyond that, really and truly, he's like a cone on the battlefield. You know, you still gotta go past it, but it's not something you're really gonna stress about. It's a shame as well because his legendary finish is so nice. Turning Super Saiyan, then he hits that nice walk through the smoke. I'm sure we all love his legendary finish. I think it's one of the better ones. Not gonna say it's top tier or anything, but it's a very good legendary finish. And I think it's just very apparent. Bardock is really cool. Having the scar and the headband, that's aura, man. We do like this guy's design, but damn, how could they drop a kit like this, especially with Bardock's track record of units? We've got the green Bardock, who was absolutely insane in his prime, the 1% sparking. We got the blue Super Saiyan Bardock, who's one of the most iconic units ever in Dragon Ball Legends. He literally played the game for years to the point where they had to stop criticals being valuable in the game, and since then criticals haven't been valuable, and that's like the second second year of Dragon Ball Legends. That's how early they had to get him out the way. Bardock has had a good run of units, but this one here, the highest rarity one we've got in the game, just was an absolute fumble and never to rise. 0 for 3, that's dark. That's going to be the end of the video, man. There are some more units that didn't get a chance to shine, but if you want to see another part of this video, let me know in the comment section below. Me personally, I do feel bad for some of these units, but as long as it's not my typical favorites, I'm for the most part chilling. I'm not gonna lie, they won't ever fumble a premium Vegito, so I can take a deep breath and relax. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.